Do you guys remember a couple of weeks ago where Ezra Miller was in trouble with the law in Hawaii, where he was arrested multiple times? We were hoping that he would come back to the US of A and settle down, let things blow over so this whole thing just can pass. Now, there's some serious accusations where he's been accused of grooming a young lady. Let's discuss. Unfortunately, he's back in the news and he's not the best of things. When this whole thing that happened in Hawaii, one of the things that I discussed with friends was he need to come back to the US of A. And I'm using the wrong pronouns because it's difficult for me to wrap my head around the whole pronoun game. So please forgive me. So one of the things is that we were hoping that for him to come back to the US of A, so all this whole thing would die down and then things will come back to normal. But now a new report came out where he states that he was grooming an 18-year-old girl. She's now 18 years old, but she was 12 at the time that they met. The report says that he flew her out to the UK where they met up, but I think he also flew their parents with them. After this whole thing happened, now the parents came out saying that a new report came out saying that the parent says that the actor is taking control of their daughter and asked for court protective order. Now, this is interesting because one of the things that I always said, why the parents allow this to happen. If there's any truth to that, I don't understand what kind of parent would allow a person, a grown adult, to be hanging around my 12-year-old daughter. So there's got to be a lot of responsibility falling on their parents if there's any grooming or anything of that nature. And I'm going to discuss this from information that I'm provided. I'm not going to speculate what happened, nor I'm going to accuse them of doing these things because I do not know. I'm just reporting the information that's circling the news circle. And the thing is that on this report that came out by TMZ, where the parents are talking about him taking over their daughter, in the report it says in the Tokata, that's her name. Dakota's parent says Ezra uses violence, intimidation, threat of violence, fear, paranoia, delusion, drugs to hold sway over a young adolescent Dakota. I'm sorry. They claim Ezra also told Dakota to solely go by Gibson, a nickname she formerly used with family and friends. So, according to the report, not only he's doing all these things with a young with Dakota, but apparently, as they stated, that he's been grooming her. Now, the parents have a lot to blame. If anything like this happened, it's one of those things like the Michael Jackson situation where like you ask, okay, if these things really happen, where are the parents of these kids? Where were the parents of this kid during that time when they felt there was something inappropriate? Why they didn't say something then? Why they allowed to continue? I mean, she was 12 at the time. She's 18 now. So, but at the same time, it could have been a situation where he was just being friendly and friendly to the family. And the minute that she turned 18, then he moved in for having some type of adult consent because she's 18 relationship. But at the same time, it just doesn't look good. It is what it is. It is grooming when you find somebody at that young age, sit around and wait for them to become of age to do something with them. So a new report came out today saying that they cannot find Ezra Miller. This was put out by the Los Angeles Times. The parents of the 18-year-old from North Dakota have obtained a protective order against the Flash star Ezra Miller, but the teen's parents and law enforcement are having a hard time locating Ezra Miller to serve the actor with the order. Now, the thing about this is that if you don't serve him, he doesn't have to stay. Ezra doesn't have to stay away from Dakota, and he's not breaking the law as of yet. Once they serve him, then Ezra will have to stay away And that's that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are speculating. Maybe that's why he's staying, and they can find him, because he want to make sure that he doesn't get served, and that way he stays around her. To put into light also, and to put into context, there's a couple of things that came out ever since this whole thing started with Tokata. When she came on social media, she made a video stating that there's no such thing going around. He's just a friend. He's a comrade. They've been nothing but supportive of each other, and none of the claims that their parents are saying are truth. They claim that their parents are homophobic, transphobic, and all these things. And you gotta believe take her word for it, because I do not know internally what's going on. But at the same time, there's other people that are putting in that she put out that stuff out there, and there's other people that have come forward with some screenshots. And granted, to be fair, screenshots can be manipulated, but the video cannot. So as far as screenshots, I'm not inclined to say, okay, that's proof, because it can be easily manipulated. If you know a little bit of Photoshop or any other photo editing techniques, it's fairly easy. At the same time, another thing is that what's going to happen with this film? This movie is been on development hell for forever. And it finally was announced that it's going to come out next year. Now, this movie intrinsically is a major part of Warner Brothers' future in the DCU. As a fan, I want to see this movie. As a fan, I want to see what they do with this universe moving forward. As a parent, as a concerned individual, I want to hear the truth. I wish that Ezra Miller or the representatives that represent Ezra Miller will come out and put out a statement or say something on this matter, because this has happened too many times and nothing is coming from from Ezra Miller's camp. This got to be a situation where they have to be accountable, say something, either to dispel these rumors, to tell the truth, so that way people don't gravitate towards a lie, if there is a lie that's been told. Because as you guys know, the news, anything that's negative is what people gravitate towards. People don't like the truth. People don't like to hear good things. They want negative things. They want to gossip, and they want to hear all this crazy nonsense. So if there's no truth to all these things, all these accusations that are being levied against him, he or his representatives should come out and put a statement out and say something on this matter. So I went on social media a little bit also to see, to get the pulse of people, what they're thinking about the situation. And generally, people are kind of tired of hearing about something negative related to this young man, to Ezra Miller. And people, they just are done with him. This user said, I genuinely respect Ezra Miller grind, and I never seen someone work so hard to completely and utterly disseminate their own career. Very true. That is interesting. And that goes along with what I just said a minute ago, where nobody's coming forward to say, hey, no, nothing's going on. This is what happened. This whole thing is made up. There is an agenda against the actor. Nothing of that matter has gone. I've been very critical about certain things that happened in the past, but I also came into some information that he's dealing with a lot of things right now, and I sympathize with him, with Ezra, and all the things that he's dealing with. But if there's any truth to him grooming this young lady, or they, sorry about the pronouns, if there's any truth to this, then I'm completely done with this situation, because I don't think anybody should be given a pass with this. And at the same time, if there's any truth, at what point do we cut off? At what point do we say, okay, this is enough, this is too far? Because we seem to be a little bit too concerned about what he can do for us, what Ezra can do for us, or he can give us an amazing movie. And to quote Zack Snyder, it's just a movie. Another thing is that the studio has put out a lot of money into this movie. And this is something that Variety put a report out. I think it was on the 2nd of this month. And they were talking about the Flash movie, whether they're going to recast. And during that time, they said, no, we're not going to recast. It will be too expensive. They already invested hundreds of millions of dollars in this movie, plus hundreds of millions of dollars already in queue for the marketing. Now, for this movie, can they use him at the front of the marketing? Can he be the face of the marketing? He's the main actor. It's not like some side actor that they can just put in there and just replace him, or it's not a Tig Notaro situation. He's the main character. He's playing multiple characters, and that's what the report says. So they would not, they couldn't scrap this whole thing. They couldn't reshoot the whole thing. It will be extremely expensive. So one of the things that we always say is that he needed to stay away from trouble, and this was reinforced by that report during at the beginning of this month by Variety, where it says, I guess they presented a couple of scenarios, and in one of this is the Flash simply costs too much money to scrap the whole project entirely, and it will likely not generate any revenue needed to turn a profit without playing in theaters. That's the thing. It needs to be in movie theaters in order for them to make money. For option 3 to happen, I guess that's one of the options, without triggering a major backlash, Miller would need to be in their best behavior, and that's the thing that cannot seem to happen. Every other week something happens, and I cannot imagine Warner Brothers not pulling their hair out of Zaslav. And that is a big question, because so far Ezra Miller has been dodging, dogged by one controversial after another, leaving collaborators concerned about the actors' welfare. And that is true, man. I cannot imagine that everybody that's involved in that production not pulling the freaking hair out. I cannot imagine the Muschietti who actually worked on this movie, have been working on this movie, not pulling the hair out. Everybody in the production, all the other actors, Michael Keaton, who's going back as Batman, Ben Affleck, who's supposed to be his last time we see him as Batman, potentially, and also the first time that we get introduced to a Supergirl. So there's a lot of writing in this movie, so it's incredibly difficult for them to scrap it and inexpensive. But what do you do in this situation? I don't know. I wouldn't even begin to even try to assume what they should be doing with this movie. But they're in a predicament, especially if this thing escalated or if it's proven that he did. But another user in Twitter said, how bad the situation with Ezra Miller needs to get before Warner Brothers just can't release the movie. Oh my goodness. I understand I understand why they should still release the movie in some form, just because so many other people were involved. Correct. I will stealth release it on HBO Max. Probably need this movie not only to turn a profit, but also to be well received and also be the catalyst of this universe moving forward. That's why they are in a pickle and they're riding high on this movie. So I don't know how they can just come out winning if this whole thing keeps escalating. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about this whole situation. Do you think there's any truth to any of these reports? Leave me a comment. Until next time, guys. Peace.